Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today. Now the other day everyone was out, so I cranked the music right up and I was trawling through my 45s, and one of the first ones I played was this, Jailbreak by AC/DC. This is a 76 song released as a 45 here in the UK in 1980, probably to cash in with their success they were having at that point. Now what a fantastic cover shot that is of Angus Young, brilliant photograph. Now obviously they're an Australian band, but they do have Scottish heritage. Bon Scott, for example, was born in Scotland, and on the B-side of Jailbreak is a strange little song called Fling Thing, which is basically, I think probably they were drunk, but it's kind of like a Highland fling. So it got me thinking about what other 45s do I have in my collection recorded by Scottish bands or artists that are half decent. And so I've got about 25 singles for you. So first up, 50% of this band definitely are Scottish, so I'm going to include them, and that's Bronski Beat. This is Small Town Boy from what, 83? I think it's their debut, and a fantastic song, love that. Next up is a duo, 50% are Scottish, and that's of course Annie Lennox and the Eurythmics. Now Annie Lennox, absolute national treasure. What a beautiful voice that woman has. And I'm in an R in between these two. These are two of my favourite songs by the Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams and Love Is a Stranger, both from the same album. And if I was pushed, Love Is a Stranger would probably get my vote. Fantastic song. Another synth pop song, the only song I know by this band, certainly possibly their only hit, I don't know, Fiction Factory and Feels Like Heaven, which is a really good synth pop song. Love that. I was tempted to include Ultravox, but I think most of the band aren't Scottish, except for obviously their lead singer, Midge Ure. Now, he was also in a band called the Rich Kids, alongside Glenn Matlock, so clearly they're not a wholly Scottish band, but I think a band that Midge Ure was in the 70s, mid-70s, were Scottish, and that, of course, is Slick. And this is the boogiest band in town from 1974, a really good little glam song from Midge Ure and his band Slick from 74 on Polydor. Now, if you're talking about Scottish artists, you've got to include this lady. I nearly included a Bowie cover by her, but I've gone for an Isley Brothers cover, and it's, of course, Lulu. And this is Shout with that brilliant start, which I'm not going to attempt. But this is Lulu and the Lovers, her backing band. Now, a member of the Lovers, not on that single, but on later versions of the Lovers, was a guy called Billy Bremner, which is a famous Scottish name because he was a footballer, although it's not the same guy. Obviously, it's this fella here. And he had played alongside Nick Lowe and Dave Edmunds and Rockpile and so on, but had some solo records as well. And this is Loud Music in Cars on Stiff Records, which is half decent. You've got to include a bit of Donovan as well, Sunshine Superman from the kind of 60s on Pie. And then going complete genre change to 77, a bit of Scottish punk, a band I know nothing about, but I'd like this 45. It's on Polydor from 77. A-side is called You're So Cold, or no, You're Cold, and the B-side is All I Can Do, both of which are decent songs, and it's The Jolt. I don't know anything about this band, so if you do, let me know in the comments below, but that's on Polydor from 77, The Jolt and You're Cold. Obviously got to include Altered Images, and this is I Could Be Happy. I think they did a Happy Birthday as well, didn't they? But a nice little kind of new wavy band. And then this is a fantastic song. You don't see this in a picture sleeve very often, at least I haven't. And that's Orange Juice and Rip It Up. Well, that's a great picture sleeve. Love that. Orange Juice, Rip It Up. Good song. Next up is a band that I saw in 79. I think it was 79. I was doing my O-levels that year, so it probably was 79 or 80. And the lead singer in this band also played bass with Rainbow back in 76. And left that band, I think he was possibly fired, and formed a band with a guy who had just left Thin Lizzy, and that of course is Brian Robertson, and the singer and bass player was Jimmy Bain, and they formed a band called Wild Horses. And this is, I'm not sure if this is their debut single or not, I can't remember. This is Criminal Tendencies, and it's back with, I think, their best song called The Rapist, which is an unfortunate title, but it's a good song. But I'm not going to choose that one. I'm just going to choose a kind of nostalgic kind of song, really, for me. So this is a double single from Wild Horses, which features, obviously, pictures of the main two guys, Jimmy Bain and Brian Robertson. But there's a song on here, their version of Rocky Mountain Way, the Joe Walsh song. Now, it's all right, but I remember them doing that live, and it was absolutely sensational. So I'm going to include Rocky Mountain Way by Wild Horses. Next up is another Scottish band that I know nothing about. And it's strange because the title of these songs are all London-based. But this is The Valves from 1977. And the songs are Tarzan of the King's Road and Ain't No Surf in Portobello. I don't know anything about that band. They don't look particularly punky, do they? They look like they've just had straight out the sixth form or something. But that's the Valves. Next up, you've got to include the Average White Band and pick up the pieces. Yeah, Pick Up the Pieces from, when's that? 1974. Great single, instrumental. Next band, I've got to include this lot. I've got to include this lot. Now, allegedly, this song influenced a couple of Ramones songs, possibly Blitzkrieg Bop, possibly, was it Rock and Roll Radio? I can't remember. But anyway, it's Saturday Night by Bay City Rollers. You've got to include them, haven't you? I mean, I think Bye Bye Baby is one of the classic pop songs of the 1970s, but Saturday Night is a brilliant, glamtastic song. I love that. So there you go, Bay City Rollers. A little bit more serious now. How about April Skies by Jesus and Mary Chain? A little bit more accessible, this song, than stuff from Psycho Candy. This is from, I think, their second album, Darklands, which I like, actually. I think it's, as I said, it's a bit easier on the ear than the Psycho Candy. Yeah, good song from the Jesus and Mary Chain, April Skies. This is the debut, I think this is the debut single by this band. It's from about 88, something like that. Texas, I Don't Want a Lover. Good tune from them. Next up, probably my favourite song by this band. I don't know much about them. It's from the 60s. Marmalade and Reflections of My Life. Really good 60s tune, that. Love it. Next up, good rock band, this. Now, I nearly chose their cover of a Joni Mitchell song, This Flight Tonight. And, of course, I'm talking about Nazareth. But I'm going to include this 45. And this is called May the Sunshine, which I think is a great song. It's from 78, I think. It's from an album called Expect No Mercy. And that song, the title track, is actually on the B-side of this. So it's a tremendous little 45. They were a great band. I really liked them, Nazareth. Underrated band. May the Sunshine, backed with Expect No Mercy. What a great 45. Got to include something by this band. Such good fun. They did so many great singles. They're all pretty much on one album. And so I've shown quite a lot of their stuff in the past, but I don't know if I've ever shown this particular 45. And it's a lesser known track by them, I think. It's called Cold Wars. The band are the Rosillos, kind of like Scotland's answer to the Ramones. Good fun band, lots of kind of sci-fi sort of themed songs, but great band. Good energy to them, and Cold Wars is a really good example of what they were about. So that's from 78 probably. I remember seeing this band on Top of the Pops and not really kind of getting them in some ways, but I do like them. They're quite an acquired taste, but Boston Tea Party, sensational Alex Harvey band. I remember seeing that on Top of the Pops with, what's the guitarist's name? Zal Clementson, is it? Who wore the clown makeup. But yeah, good band. Now we've got to the last 5, and I think these are some of my favourite songs by Scottish bands or artists. And at number 5, I've gone with Waterfront by Simple Minds. Now, I would love to have included Saints and Sinners by Johnny and the Self-Abusers, which was the band that was Simple Minds before they became Simple Minds, a punk band. But I think this is a great song. I love Waterfront. I like Simple Minds, actually. I think their live album is really good, and I really like Waterfront. So that's my 5th favourite. At number 4, I've gone with Chance by Big Country. Tremendous band, led by Stuart Adamson, yeah, and this is one of the singles that came off their debut, and probably my favourite song by them. That's Chance by Big Country. At number 3, I have to include this guy. He originally was in a band called Steelers Wheel, had huge success with Baker Street, which does feature one of the greatest saxophone solos on a pop record ever. Absolutely gorgeous. This is a superb single from 1978, Baker Street, Jerry Rafferty. And we come to the last 2. Now, I mentioned Stuart Adamson from Big Country. Of course, he was in another band before that, and that was Skids. I could have added Into the Valley, but I absolutely love The Saints Are Coming. I think that's a superb single, superb song, and so that's my number 2. And at number 1 is a guy whose voice is so underrated. He has got a brilliant voice. I think he's I think he's still alive, but very, very poorly and doesn't perform at all and hasn't done for a long time now. But this is a song from 1977, produced by Chris Thomas. Really good song. John Peel used to play this a lot, and that's when I first heard it, and I've always loved this song. I love the vocal performance on it. It's called Frankie Miller, and Be Good to Yourself. I included this on my video about Chrysalis Records, and this I think is an absolutely brilliant song, and that is probably my favourite song by a Scottish band or artist. So there you go. Which ones have I missed? Tell me what you think in the comments below, and I'm sure I'll be back sometime with another video. Cheers.